Right folks, I am back on board. So we've got a couple of weeks here in Fort Lauderdale before we start our very first charter of the season. That means I've got time to get prepped for the season. This is so much fun. I'm gonna start stockpiling things like cookie dough, slow braised meats. I'm gonna talk you through the process and show you all the things I do to get ready for the Caribbean season. Well, let's kick things off with some flavored butter. So I serve butter every night with whatever bread that we're doing for the guest dinner, and I kind of flavor it so that it matches the meal. And I've got these really cool molds that I'll fit them into. So for this prep, I did a truffle one, a salted bacon one, a Old Bay, and then I also did a brown butter. That's actually the miso butter that I'm rolling there. Super simple if you want to make that at home. Literally just miso mixed in with butter. Giving away my secrets here. But this brown butter, melted brown butter, whisked over ice, rolled it up, and it's good to go. So there's all my butters ready to go into the freezer. That was very, very quick and easy one to do. Now, sourdough bread. I do bake bread every single day of the trip, so it's fresh every morning, goes out with breakfast. But I will always have some stashed away in the freezer in case of emergency, in case I quickly, maybe I mess up one batch, very unlikely, but I do always have some backup. So I fed up my starter nice and early this time, and I got about 4 loaves out. So that was a good haul. It's looking really pretty there. Now, a big thing that I'll always have stashed away is cookie dough. And I'm actually gonna give you guys the recipe. So check down in the comments below. This cookie dough recipe is my favorite, it's my go-to. So you cream the butter and sugar together. And I'm a big fan of scraping down loads just to make sure everything is incorporated. Then I've got the rest of the ingredients, eggs, flour, and the mix-ins. This is why I love the cookie dough recipe, is because the base recipe is the same, and then you can just change the mix-ins to literally whatever you want. So after the butter and sugar get creamed together, I add in the eggs one by one, mix each time, and then the flour. And just as the flour's going, I'll then add in the mix-ins. The key part here is that you don't want to overwork the batter. You don't want to process the cookie too much. You want it light and crumbly. Just do it until the edges are clean, the sides of the bowl are clean. That's what I'm showing you here. The way you could cook these off straight away if you wanted to. I obviously roll them up and keep them in the freezer. When they're frozen like this, all I need to do is slice them into rounds, bake them off for 7 minutes, and then the guests have got these hot, fresh cookies. So it is Sunday here, and I've got a bit, wait, is it Sunday? No, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. So it's Saturday here, and tonight I'm putting crude in the fridge, which means that I've got this afternoon to really focus on prep, which is fantastic. I am gonna try and get some chocolate work done, do some little chocolate decorations, if I can correctly temper it. Haven't done it in a while, so cross your fingers for me. And I'm gonna start making elements of a chocolate and hazelnut entremet. So I love this book. I think you've seen it in one of my other videos. Basically, it's just covering all the basics of patisserie. And I kind of pull from here different parts of different recipes, different elements, and put it together for whatever I want. So sometimes I'll make a full dessert, and sometimes I'll just be like, I like that bit, and turn it into something else. This one is a good one. I'll be honest with you guys, I did have to do 2 rounds of the chocolate tempering because I didn't quite nail the first time. But you know what? In the end, I'm super happy with how they turned out. So then I started making elements of a chocolate entremet. Entremet is French for kind of small dish, but the way it kind of gets used now is a small layered dessert. I'm starting with the center of the dessert, which is a lemon, hazelnut, and chocolate ganache. That's a really runny ganache that I'll freeze and then let it set. This right here is going to be the base of the entremet. It is a gluten-free almond, kind of very light sponge. So you spread that out, bake it, and then I'll cut it to fit the shape of my entremet. Now, whilst I had the lemons out for the center, I thought, hey, why not? I'll make some lemon curd. And I've got these amazing orange yolks, so it just gave this lemon curd a really bright color. I love how it turned out. Super, super, super yellow. Now, because we are headed to the Caribbean, I know for sure there's going to be some beach barbecues, and in my opinion, the best dessert for a beach barbecue is a popsicle, because you can just take it over and hand it to the guest. So I made some mango ones, some passion fruit ones, I topped them with little mango crispies and coconut crispies and coconut milk, so they're stashed away in the freezer.
The charter guests have requested profiles of everyone, so it is photo day on board today. We're all lining up to get our photos.
Next up is brownies, folks. I am so glad I made these brownies, as you will see in a future video. I always, I have a tray of brownies stashed in the freezer pretty much at all times, and look, I'll just say it really came in handy. Now, this is another element of the entremet here. This is like little crispy bits of dried crepe mixed through with chocolate and some hazelnut praline. So I'm cutting them out into rounds and also cutting that gluten-free almond cake into rounds as well. Now it is time to assemble the entremet. This is about when I received the first charter guest's preferences, and it actually turns out they were gluten-free, they were dairy-free, and they had some other very specific requests. So I made 2 rounds of entremets, one with a dairy-free chocolate mousse, and this one I'm doing now in the red silicone, that's the normal chocolate mousse with cream and everything like that. So these are good to go now. Smooth them off, wrap them up into the freezer. Happy days.
This is not a bad place to wake up. We are in the Bahamas, in Atlantis Marina, and this is where we'll do our last few days of prep before the guests arrive.
So I also read on my guest preferences that they loved pistachio ice cream and pistachio sorbet. Luckily, I had some incredible Sicilian pistachio paste in my dry stores, so I got cracking on that. I made 2. I made a gelato, and then I did a sorbet, which is basically just stabilizer, my little stabilizing friends here, very, very handy. The pistachio paste, water, and a little bit of sugar. So that was actually new to me. I'd never made a sorbet like that before, but I was really, really pleased with how it turned out. And even though it wasn't very sweet, I think sometimes, you know, sorbets don't have to be so sweet, especially when it's such a delicious flavor. Pistachio might have become my favorite sorbet flavor after making these. Also on their preferences was a bone broth request, both beef and chicken bone broth. Luckily, I got this in before I had my provisions delivered, so I was able to ask for, I think I got like 10 pounds of veal bones and 15 pounds of chicken bones. I like to do bone broth by roasting them off first, just so they get that nice Maillard reaction. It gets more caramelized flavors, deeper sort of flavor profiles, and then the rest of it is pretty standard stock kind of things: celery, onion, carrots, leeks, bay leaf, some peppercorns, and then you just pile it into my stock pots. I had to pull out all 3 because, man, there was a lot of stock going on here, and I let it simmer for about, I think it was the whole day. It might have been 12 or 13 hours going away on the stove, just letting all the collagen come out. A big thing that I try and prep before charter is any braised meats, because they take up so much time in the oven, and essentially you're losing an oven for 3 to 5 hours. That's not very helpful. So I braised off some pork shoulder here. I did it 2 different ways. I did it a sour orange, kind of a Mexican style pork shoulder, and then this one is the coconut caramel, a bit more down the Asian side of things. And oh my gosh, the coconut caramel one, that was amazing. So let them go for 3 hours. You can see here I've pulled them out of the oven and they are so soft. Yes, remember all those cookies that I made earlier? Well, yeah, obviously I had to make some more. Very handy that there is a nice gluten-free cookie recipe on the back of the gluten-free flour, So I just followed that recipe. I was going to use these for ice cream cookie sandwiches. I wanted them to be perfectly round, so I used a ring mold, and very happy with how it turned out. Now that's my stock finished. I've let it cool, I'm straining it. This is basically the entire pack down of the day. I was super happy with how jiggly they turned out. Very nice wobble there. But here's all my prep. I've got everything vacuum sealed and labeled. That certainly was a productive day, and I'm really looking forward to using all this prep.
Right, today is pickup day, so I've reached the end of all my prep. I actually found out from a yacht chef that had previously had them on a few little extra bits of information, which is very helpful. They found out they like dark rye bread, so I've made some rye and spelt loaves, bake these off. They arrive in 4 hours, so wish me luck, guys. Next video will hopefully be all the prep coming out and being plated. I'll see you next time.